Yes, everyone, even though the start of the PS2 was a bit of an old egg for the dragon, Simon seemed to flourish on the Game Boy Advance for multiple games before the next mainline console title, starting off with Simon Silly Old Ink. Look at it. It's Spyro, alright. He's running, he's jumping, he's flaming, he's charging, he's gliding, he's even hovering. It's just like classic Spyro, but now you can't see it. This is Season of Ice, with Digital Eclipse being the ones who made it, and before they even started making the game, they had to leap over one major obstacle. So if they were going to make a Simon game fit into a GBA,
the sacrifices must be made.
As you can see, it is pretty close to PS1 Simon, but with a shitload of cubes, so if you like cubes, you're gonna love this. With it being a Game Boy Advance game, you can't see much of the screen around you, there's tons of moments you'll get hit off screen and die instantly, it's difficult to tell sometimes what height things are for longer glides, but all things considered, they did a great job here. Is what I would be saying, but the problem is I don't really like Season of Ice. And no, it's not just because they brought Moneybags back, he doesn't even carry bags of cash anymore, he's on Visa. The controls are pretty tight, you can do most of the moves you're accustomed to, you collect gems and find hidden items, you save a main collectible to keep unlocking the rest of the game, this time being fairies. Getting extra lives is as simple as burning small animals and it only takes 3, 7, or 40 of them. Even Sparks has his own levels again that feel right at home on the GBA. The core is here, but everything around it is all mushy and smelly. The charge is way too quick for the screen size, and if you ever use it for more than a few seconds, there's a 95% chance you're getting prune skin. And yes, you can use the left trigger to look around you, but that's only when you're standing dead still. So whenever you move into another part of the game, you will not see what's coming up unless you keep stopping, looking, and then moving a few steps forward. Oh, leave me alone, you rag! And in the cruelest twist of fate, if you die, you lose all of your progress in the level except for the gems and enemy defeats. There's no checkpoints at all, and with levels like these where everything looks the damn same, trying to re-find treasure chest keys that then stick into a treasure chest you have no clue where it was before, or re-finding all of the optional items to burn around the level for an extra fairy is utterly miserable. Made even worse when you were killed unfairly by an off-screen attack, or whenever Spyro gets hit in general and decides to slide backwards for like 5 hours until he falls right into his tomb. Oh, and even if you don't manage to die and complete objectives that involve exploring these copy-paste box factories, you get forcibly teleported to the middle of Dickville nowhere and then need to figure out how to get back to where you were before. I don't know what square I was at before, the game has no map to tell me. I can't do this all on my own, I'm not Biden. And while I'm whining about a 21-year-old game that nobody cares about, the bosses suck too. This is Grendor, the main villain. He appears twice, you fight him twice, he has a head, twice. Who is he? What's his breakage? Why should I care? Why does Grendor sound like a cough syrup? I don't know, but I can give him credit for giving us a break from all of the cubes in the game by throwing balls at us instead. There's also these speedway levels in the game that are visually impressive and try to stay as faithful to the PS1 speedways as possible, and I don't mind these, but they share the same problem with the rest of the game, being that they're all the same. The visuals are the same, the challenges are the same, the level designs are the same, the bosses are the same. This is Spyro's Sameson of same. And then, for the cherry on top of this cake of potato and wee, you can only unlock the second boss, that is, the final boss, by beating the game 100%. Thanks for the reward of letting me finish the game by having to treat it like Elon Musk's hairline and comb it back to front. And the ending of the game, no joke, is Grendor having his two-headed problem fixed, followed by, okay, I'm sorry. Bye! And then the final insult to close it all off is that you unlock a bonus Sparks game, which is just asteroids, but with this face. Merry Christmas. Well, that was disgusting. What have we got next? Here it is. It's Crazy Fox Adventure in Time. It doesn't look like Crash at all, but this is what came up when I searched for him on the App Store, so I'll have to take their word for it. Crazy Fox Adventure in Time is a 2,5D platformer inspired by classic PSX games. It features low poly graphics, 2 different ways of character steering, time of the day, and I guess the guy who wrote this got interrupted and killed by rabbits, with this being his final call for help. The game has 1 rating, and it's 1 out of 5. Excellent, let's give it a look then. Hey there, lady, can I have your number? So I can ring you and tell you how vile you are? Right, so we need to get things crystal clear. This is not inspired by classic PSX games. This is a classic PSX game. It's called Crash Bandicoot. Ever heard of it? It's a great game. It has a warp room with level pads to stand on, wooden boxes with symbols on them, crystals to collect, red TNT crates, green nitro crates, spinning, crouching and slide jumping, and not being able to jump on top of enemies without dying. So yeah, take Crash Bandicoot side-scrolling levels and just make it not as good. That's what Crazy Fox Adventure in Time is. It's not awful at all. It works, but it just makes you wish you were playing an actual Crash game instead, which is as close to a compliment as I can get. Why does Crash Bandicoot keep wanting me to play Train Station 2? Oh, it even has this vehicle segment where you're on rollerblades and can't stop moving, but it controls like arse, it's totally impossible, it isn't interesting, and it's as fun to deal with as Taco Bell Bumwee. Lego Alpha Team. Hey, it's another Lego Game Boy Color game. This is gonna end well, isn't it? We are Lego secret agents, and we need to stop the evil Ogle. Very clever. But even though we are the ultimate alpha bros and alpha broettes, how are we going to stop him? By standing still and doing nothing while God himself picks up and places arrows on the floor for you to follow. If the alpha agents can't carry on walking in a straight line, they give up. No second way about it. There's no other plan here. They just stop walking and let the world get taken over. These are the worst secret agents I think I've ever seen. All you do in this rip-roaring adventure is plot a path and watch someone walk along it. That's it, that's the whole game. Have fun, kids. And just look at how deplorable this secret agent is. Not only does he completely give up at the sight of a wall because he doesn't have an arrow to follow, but even when he wins, he couldn't care less. Oh, and when you reach the exits of each level, make sure you enter them from the bottom, or else you'll just stand there and jump around like you have fire ants in your pants. This is all just completely pathetic. Look at the depth perception here. As in, there is no depth perception. I can't even figure out where to place stairs and arrows pointing towards them because height doesn't exist in this game. And you can't make mistakes because the dude can't even jump down a 2-foot ledge. Oh no, I don't know where to go. You can't move the god arrow around any faster on each level, which becomes a massive pain when they start getting bigger. And the soundtrack is just one song over and over again that isn't very good for your brain while you're trying to solve the very difficult puzzle of which direction do I make me go. This is like playing Legoland on the PC, but there's no theme park, and the only thing you're allowed to use is an arrow. My theme parks are the best. You know those Lego bricks that nobody likes? Yeah, you know the one. Yeah, those bastards. Everybody hates them and never uses them. Well, this game is exactly like that. A useless and unwanted Lego brick. Alright, fine, let's try another one, like Super Crash Battle Adventure. Right, so at first, this game also refused to load, and I was really disappointed because how could you not want to see what is beyond this gorgeous title screen and the game logo in Times New Roman? I kept pressing start, but nothing was happening. I was starting to get really pissy, and not the warm kind, but then all of a sudden, after press number 72, we get the PSP version of Crash of the Titans. Yeah, that is all that this is. A direct port of the PSP version of Crash of the Titans, but interrupted every 60 seconds with an ad for Victoria's Plums. I mean, if you ever wanted to play the PSP version of Crash of the Titans with touch controls and constant adverts, then you're all set. What? Is that not enough? They made one more Spyro GBA game, known everywhere as Spyro Orange, the Cortex Conspiracy. No. Although it's more commonly known in the UK as Simon Fudge. And not only is this the final standalone Spyro game on the Game Boy that wasn't a port, but it was also a crossover game. And a crossover game with another platforming juggernaut that you all know and love. Is it Snoik? No, Eggman. Oh yeah, after years of suspense and build-up, teasing fans all over the world by Naughty Dog and Insomniac hiding Crash and Spyro demos in each other's PS1 games, the two best-known PlayStation mascots were finally getting together on a system that needed a lamp. And yes, this also means Spyro and Crash's villains team up too, this game having Ripto and Cortex as bad guys. And the story they have here is that Ripto and Cortex team up to stop Crash and Spyro. And look! Oh my god, guys, there he is! Together on screen in the same game for the first time ever! And we become best friends after a boss battle where Spyro stands still, does absolutely nothing, and murders Crash with Molotov cocktails. What I don't understand, though, is that if it worked in Spyro Orange, why doesn't it work for me on Tinder? What we have here is a Simon side-scroller, which, you know what, I'm not completely against. We've had 3 games of bastard squares taking all of our jobs! And now we have this. I'm fine with it. And we can run, jump, and... yes, we don't charge anymore and we don't glide. 2 of the things that made Simon Simon. A controversial move that I will never understand, but not as much as how I don't understand this. This is the replacement glide, everyone. having a mid-air fit. And you know what? I wouldn't mind the lacking inclusion of two of Spyro's most defining things if the flame wasn't a useless spit on the floor that never hits any enemies, and if it didn't control as slippery as it does. You don't need to throw soup at Van Gogh to protest oil. Just make people play Spyro Orange and they'll never want to see oil again. I am barely just about to make the jumps on tiny platforms here, and most of the time I do, it isn't without jittering on the D-pad to land accurately because of just how oiled up the floor feels all over the game. It's worse than your local kebab shop, and once you mix already slippery controls with slippery ice in the ice world, just burn it, make it water, I'll drink it. This can't be all the game is though, and you're right. So what else do you do here? You find portals to mini-games, beat them, and that is it. Spyro Orange is a minigame collection in disguise, and not a very good one. This is what the game considers a fully fledged minigame. Do you want to play Breakout, but while the ball is on a tractor? Do you want to play a slow anti-gravity mech game where you collect one bullet at a time and fire one bullet at a time? Do you want to play an auto-scrolling flying shoot-'em-up stage where nothing happens? Do you want to play an auto-scrolling flying shoot-'em-up stage where nothing happens? Do you want to play an auto-scrolling tank shoot-'em-up stage when— oh wait, sorry, let me just flip this over. Do you want to play an auto-scrolling flying shoot-'em-up? Repetition is this game's mantra, and even for the ones that don't copy each other or repeat, every single minigame here is dreadful. In fact, it can all be perfectly summed up by the first ever portal you jump into. Spyro very slowly jumping over holes in a Jeep. And that's it. That's the Spyro Orange experience condensed, and for the love of God, keep to the sides of all of the flying stages because the middle will always trap you into a game over that you can't see coming. Stay away from the center, like a pizza. Nobody wants that bit. And some of these mini games go on for an eternity. I don't need to tell you this. When me and my sister were kids, I got Crash Purple for Christmas while she got this, and she loved it. I've never played a game before where the game itself feels like it doesn't care. I've never been more acutely aware of a game nearly reaching sentience and telling me itself it is bored. Spyro Orange is alive and wants you to end it. Even Moneybags doesn't give a shit here. All he does is ask for money so you can buy trading cards, which do absolutely nothing. And the shopping experience itself— wow, I love shopping here. Do you have a loyalty card? The only real triumphant moments of the game appear when you win a minigame, and even then, Spyro doesn't even look like he knows what just happened. You did it! You know what theme I've noticed throughout this whole game? Depression. I'm being serious. I think this game is about depression. This new character, Blink the Mole, is always hiding underground, away from the sun. In Cortex's boss fight, he just gives up halfway through and accepts his inevitable death. Whenever Spyro wins tug-of-war matches against creatures trying to destroy his world and kill his friends, he looks sorry for them. Sergeant Bird hung himself, and in every cutscene, Spyro never looks happy. Follow me, Crash. Bosses don't even try to hurt you. They're more interested in jollying themselves or slumping left and right over and over again while all you do is jump over them to win. The only real challenge is with Crush and Gulp together, and even then, Gulp tries so little to actually hit you that Spyro falls asleep. The whole game, from start to end, took me 46 minutes to finish. And 5 of those minutes were when I paused the game because I had to take a massive crap. So in an effort to add more value to the game, do you know what they did? They locked the final world out until you beat every minigame before it 3 times each. What? Everything again? 3 times each? When most of the minigames are copies of each other anyway? Are you trashed? No, not having it. I am not having it. Not having it. Jim Caddick, 28, male, not having it! Let's be real, you'd have to be mental to play the whole game again 2 more times, with tiny little changes in difficulty, just so you could get to the last world. So you get to the final world of the game, and lo and behold, it's exactly the same as all the other worlds, with the same minigames, and the same slipperiness, the same pitiful everything. With the final boss being a carbon copy of the final boss from Crash Bandicoot Purple, which you didn't have to access in that game by beating every minigame 2 extra times, and finally ending with Spyro looking like But my absolute favorite bit, the best bit of the game entirely, is that near the end, there's the hardest platforming sequence in the whole thing, full of long amazing jumps, airborne enemies, leaps of faith, and it takes a while to get through it. But once you do get through it, the reward waiting for you at the end is Crash Bandicoot. The hidden secret of the game, locked behind the hardest part of it, is one of the main characters.
I'm not exaggerating when I say this is one of the worst games I've ever played. I can't stand it, and I never want to play it again. So long, Scroat.
Does anybody here remember Lego Knights Kingdom? They were like Bionicles, but nobody bought them. So they made a game about them instead for the Game Boy Advance. What a thrilling history. So what are we waiting for, Lego? Let's go. Now, what language do I pick? English, or the ones who lost? The story mode appears to have 9 missions until you get to the end of the game. Okay, good stuff. And the first mission has your knight being mentored by a master in the ways of honor and combat by pressing a load of switches in a single room. Just like a true knight. So yeah, obviously this first mission is a tutorial, and it teaches you how to swing your sword, how to fire lightning from your sword, and ends with a mini-boss against the definitely not evil-sounding Lord Vladek, who's dressed in definitely not evil red and black, telling us how he's definitely not gonna hurt us, and that we'll need our skills in days to come, while the other knights talk about how he's definitely the king's most loyal and legendary knight. So 10 seconds later, he captures the king and seizes the throne.
What? I didn't see that coming!
Lego Knights Kingdom is basically just one big top-down Zelda dungeon, except it has no interesting puzzles, a projectile attack that's so sluggish you can never use it without getting hit, sword combat which amounts to... that, and movement that's as slow as a bloody milk float. It takes you eons to get anywhere. Pro tip, if your game is only 9 missions long, this is not how you make it longer. And after all of this lumpy combat while I run around like a lumpy skeleton in lumpy boot, I'm then rewarded with a new character who moves even slower. Look at this miserable tub of fish. This game is full of so much crap, I could paint the walls with it. If you can't tell, I am not playing Knights Kingdom anymore. And not just because of how slow it is, but because I also refuse to play a game that uses the password.
Well, that was enough of that. Crash Tikis Choice. It's like the Teen Choice Awards, except culturally insensitive.
Boom down big.
Now this game is a single button. Yeah, that's it. Make a question, then touch the tiki mask. Okay.
How do I become more attractive?
Eat fruit.
Can I command an army of angry bats?
Anything is possible if you try.
Oh, you know what? This thing isn't too bad. What should we ask now? How many spoons of sugar is best for a cup of tea?
Eat fruit.
Oh, okay, we were doing so well. Right, let's go heavier. How do we solve world hunger?
Eat fruit.
How do I lose weight?
Eat fruit.
How do I gain weight?
Eat fruit.
When am I allowed back in the rowing club?
Eat fruit.
How do I grow fruit?
Eat fruit.
How many babies am I legally allowed to step on?
Ooga booga. Oh, screw this fool. I'm gonna ask Ooga Ooga for his advice.
When is the best time to take pasta off of a boil? What is the cure for AIDS?
That's not my problem.
Yeah, did you know that Up had a video game tie-in? I didn't, and they made a version of it for the nut you can play with outside. And the game was made by... Arse Bozo Studio. Okay, so it's asking me for a name for my save file, but there's only so much I can put here because there's a 3-letter limit, so, I don't know, my name is... Yum. We start the game off with some FMV sequences that don't look too bad. I reckon this could trick kids into thinking this was from the movie. But then we see Russell walking into the room like an upright vacuum cleaner, and I'm immediately concerned. And as far as Carl goes, phew, he looks pretty bad. He definitely doesn't look like he does in the movie. Okay, somebody explain this to me. How does this guy, an ancient grieving pensioner, jump around like he's on a trampoline, climb up the sides of cliffs, and Indiana Jones his way across vines, yet he walks around like a crooked spider hungry for a dead bird? So yeah, ever wanted to play a game where you're an old man? Then Up on the PSP is the game for you. And to be fair, it is pretty accurate if you wanted a cynical old fart simulator. And that's not all. You can ignore them as they cry for your help, run away from them as fast as possible so they can't keep up, and even push them into a load of spiky, jagged rocks. When you aren't doing that, you're playing the most basic partner-based puzzle platformer of all time that barely requires any thought. Carl? Are you okay there, Carl? As for the mechanics and controls, well, they don't even work half of the time. Like here, I get captured by this trap, get told to spam X in order to escape, but it never ever works, and I end up losing health and resetting the puzzle every single time. What am I doing wrong here? Aside from that though, Up is painfully easy to the point of sleep-inducing. I know this is only stage 1, but this is a flat-out depressing looking game. We've got old men doing trapeze gymnastics and a small child who can throw adults over their shoulders.
Don't get your hopes up, kid. That rotten wood is never gonna be a canoe.
Which is why I'm going to use it as a canoe right now. Jeez, my god, when did this game turn into a government warning about steroid abuse? How is Carl doing this? This is ridiculous. I can practically hear his spine mangling. You tap X over and over again to move forward and try to fit through tiny gaps with water physics stopping you and crocodiles in the way. Yeah, I'm done. This game is way too dull for me, so I'm stopping. Sorry, Up. You made me feel down.
Hey, does anybody remember Turbo? The DreamWorks animated classic? Turbo? Well, they made a game about it. I don't know how to transition to it.
Ah, look! It's Turbo. The snail.
Turbo. Super Stunt Squad, baby.
I need a parent.
I honestly don't care what any of this stuff does. It makes sense that this is a racing game, so let's just go straight into a tournament. Right, so who do I pick here? Burn, Turbo, Whiplash, or Smooth Move? Are they Breets? This guy's the one, no question about it. Now for a more important question. Do I want bad stats, or bad stats with one stat that isn't as bad as the other stats? Yeah, I think I'll go with that one. I'm on the start line, I'm ready to go, and... oh my god. I've played some bad kart racing games in my time, but I honestly think this one may be the worst I've ever touched. Do I even need to explain why? Look at this splat. I'd prefer making an icicle out of my own piss and shoving it in my eye. One of the most important things you need to nail in any kart racer before anything is how it feels to drive. You can't be too realistic like it's a driving simulator, but not so wacky that it's uncontrollable. You hold accelerate to go forward at one speed and then turn to the direction you want in order to change where your forward is going towards. That is really it. It is so rigid. There's no slipping or sliding, no weight. I feel like I'm racing with a washing pole. The back of the box doesn't lie either. Instead of selling the game to you, it just tells you two things that the game has. You can race, and you can pick a character. Yep, that is all you can do. To be fair, yeah, that is the only two things the game has going for it, but if the back of the box doesn't give a shit, then why should I? Oh, by the way, favorite characters? Oh yes, from the animated classic that everyone remembers so fondly, my favorite characters were Roly Poly and Eyes on a Dick. Supermarket trolleys move with more grace than these things, and I'm not even sure if I'm doing something wrong or if the game is just awful. Maybe it was me? I don't know. Let's try another race. I'll pick Turbo this time, and I'll take my grip down all the way. Maybe that's why in the last race I was as stiff as my nan's arthritis. Let's see then. Okay, so we're coming up to a ramp and...
No.
And the first one is known as 2003 Crash 2 Advance for the Game Boy Color. And when you look at the... this confounded thing was made by the company Syntax, which sounds like a groin cream. And looking at this cartridge, I think I'm gonna need some of it because, oh me, oh my, is this cover giving me the chafes. We appear to be in a European skiing resort, while a bit of Crash Bash hangs out in the background there, and, Crash with green warts over there, and an angry shoe, and... Humpty Dumpty with a shotgun. English treasures. Oh boy. Product is fit for Game Boy Color or a machine. The product is fit for a machine. What kind of machine? Serene life of people is in this fine cosmos. There is an unknown object in the mysterious space to surround the Earth high speed to exercise to come over. Then we cut to Uka Uka. Where is he? I do not Ow, to how I still take you nearby. You disappointed me too many times. And then all of a sudden, Cortex steps in. Forgives me, I wasted so many years to try to conquer those stupid people. Trust me, I have a plan for resident of the weak and small people on Earth. And then we cut to Cortex enacting his evil plan and his final declaration to the planet. I'm coming. And apparently he did too much because now the planet is covered in blood. Finally, mankind of my planet have already completed. The Earth mankind will admit for my super intelligence. Your god I am. I am your ruler. Ha! Finally I woned, and now no one can obstructed me. Oh dear, what a dire situation. Who can possibly fix it? Oh, I know. Cash Banuka and... King Chicken. Crash, alter evil to be straight. Go to rescue will sort on a cosmos that super hardship in of living to work properly. Okay. Then we see some flapping paper, then we see a dead whale fly across the screen, and then whoa! There's the title screen. 2003 Crash 2 The Huge Adventure on the Game Boy Colon. Off to stage 1 we go then. This isn't Crash Bandicoot. It's my granddad in his sweatpants on his way to the tool shed. You can do everything Crash can do in this game. You can jump, and you can spin. You can't spin. And your mission is to travel through the jungle, kill all of the My Little Pony puppies, and collect Wumpa Fruit by breaking boxes. Or by breaking the same invisible box forever until you die. Check it out, you can even crouch in this game. This is great. Who needs a bucket and mop when you've got Crash's mouth? Oh wait, oh god, I can't stand up. Why can't I stand up? Why am I still crouching? There's an enemy coming for me. What am I supposed to do? Get out of the way, get out of the way! Is that a dead beaver? What is that? Tell me, Gammy Dewar. Okay, let's try this again. See, I'm doing much better this time. I even got a crystal. Look at that. Let's pick it up. This is fine. No, this is fine. I'm okay. It's only Crash Bandicoot with a sawn-off shotgun. Nothing to see. This is good, actually. He went from looking like my granddad running for the garage to my granddad going duck hunting with his shirt off. I mean, the gun itself is totally worthless since you can't shoot downwards and every enemy is too small to hit, like the dreaded fiendish rabbit. But this image alone makes it all worth it. Oh, cool, a platform. Is this the end of the level? No? Why aren't you moving? What do I do? Can I go back? No. Well, I can get behind the waterfall and go... But I can't jump back up to the start of the level and I can't reset the level. I'm completely stuck. Is this the end of the game? Did I win? Did it break?
Because you can also take them on the go with Lego Stunt Rally on the Game Boy Color. Now, I've never played a Lego game on Game Boy before, and it's safe to say that I'm bricking it.
Hello, and welcome to Stunt Rally. I'm Mr. X, the world champion and owner of... Screw this. Let's just jump right into a Grand Prix race and see what this is all about then. I mean, there was a Lego Racers port on Game Boy Color, and it wasn't awful for a Game Boy racing game. 3, 2, 1, go! Oh, huh, that's odd. The arrow buttons don't work, but I'm, like, still making all of the turns. It's automatic. The track races itself. Well, then what's the point of it being a competitive racing game? Have you ever played Scale Electric before? Or slot cars, as some people call it? You know, you hold a single button down to control the speed and just hope your car doesn't fall off the track and crash horribly. Well, now you get to do that on a flat, low-resolution, low-quality, limited color, and no physical feedback Game Boy Color screen. You go over ramps to do the stunts that the game is named after, but you can't choose the stunts that you do, and it doesn't matter what car you pick. This is hold one button down and hope you don't die the video game. Okay, to be fair, the B button does make you change lanes, but that happens so infrequently there's barely any point talking about it. Oh, and the arrow buttons, and I mean all of the arrow buttons, make your horn go off. Sure, you can build your own tracks, but with heart-stopping single-button gameplay in 2 different locations like this, why bother?
I think this is the only racing game I've ever played that needs no hands. Oh no.
And even though the gameplay amounts to just holding the A button down, it still somehow manages to not work properly. There are so many corners where it's impossible to slow down in time because of a ramp you need to speed over. Corners that allow you to go fast across, no problem. And other corners that don't allow you to go fast across. This is sickening. What else can I say? Everything you see here, this is the whole game, and it's one of the worst I've ever played. I've arranged seating plans for dinner parties more fun than this. And aside from designing your own tracks, that's the only Lego-themed aspect of this Lego game. You don't build racers, cars, the areas don't look like Lego. There's nothing Lego in this game. The only thing similar to Lego here is that after I'm done with it, I'm gonna put it in a big box and forget about it for 15 years.
Next up, we've got Zombies Run. Crash Bandicoot. Drive ahead through the zombie highway in a race to save your family. Arm yourself with an arsenal of powerful weapons, and is this a joke? Are you okay? Are you having a fever? Is your house on fire? I'm not so sure about this, but let's give it a look anyway. Allow Zombies Run to track your activity across other companies' apps and websites. Right then, here we go. Zombies Roadkill. Oh, it changed its own name. That's good. I understand it. Level 1. Damn, guys, I feel just like a kid again. playing Crash Bandicoot on my PlayStation. Look, it's got the taxis and the school bus and the machine gun. By the way, the truck here is impossible to steer. Look at this. Oh, come on now. I've been playing for all of 90 seconds and you want me to rate the game? Fine. If you're asking for it, you're getting it. 1 star. Write a review. Title: Cortex is too hard. This game is so hard that it made me scratch my scalp off my pretty head. Time to send and... enter a nickname. Okay. Halal meat. This nickname is taken. Enter another and try again. Who called themselves Halal meat? Okay, fine. Halal meat 5000. Done. Thanks for your feedback. You're not welcome. Well, hey, if I can give this game at least 1 point of praise, Zobi's Run is free to play.
And, believe it or not, can't believe I'm saying this again, those are the only Crash bootlegs that I could find on the iPhone App Store.
Oh! Ratatouille!
Yes, everyone, the game based on the movie plus the dump truckload of ports wasn't enough for the sweet little rodent. He also felt like he needed an exclusive side game from the Nintendo DS. Oh no, is the whole game gonna look like this? Yes, it is. This is just horrendous. This looks like shovelware, not a Disney Pixar branded game. This is worse than a Ratatouille toddler's coloring book. And all of the characters' noses look like sacks. In fact, I was so distracted by the ugliness of this thing that I actually have no idea what's going on. I clicked on a new game file, I get given a loading screen, and then there's a mini game. No backstory, no instructions. What am I doing? Am I sticking the same ingredients together to make a good soup? But Remy is giving me the ingredients himself. Why can't he just wait for all the same ingredients to come up and then give them to me all at once? Who cares? I figured it out at least, and I think I'm doing pretty well. Okay, so after restarting the entire game to see if I missed something, it turns out that this itsy bitsy teeny weeny not obviously at all-y question marky was the only way to figure out the basics of each minigame you'll be doing here, so thanks for making it skippable. Couldn't you just put the instructions up here? It turns out that after you make a lump of dump, you just tap the screen to grab it with your fork, so that's good. On to the next minigame immediately. What? No bridge? No story? No main game? No. This is a minigame set that is only a minigame set. We're now slicing things with the stylus and... that's it. And then we're cooking things without moving any of the cookware. I'm sorry, what is this game? Why is it a game? What's the point of anything that I'm doing here? For 2 screens and touchscreen capability, this is one of the most restrictive and shallow games I've ever played. There's nothing here. You just jump from minigame to minigame with no scoring system, no linking segments, no rewards. I mean, cooking games on DS go together like bread and butter, right? It's touchscreen. It couldn't possibly be that difficult to make an engaging game, could it? Cooking Mama did this pretty well. Hell, there's even more complexity, variety, and content on the Mario 64 DS minigames, and they weren't even the standalone game. Peppa Pig on the DS offers you more than this. Peppa pricking Pig!
Right, so taking a page from the Book of Kingdom Hearts, Spyro decided to make a story-relevant, canonical, official sequel to his console-based platforming series on the Nintendo DS, and nowhere else.
But I don't mind. I can handle it. I'm a stud.
It is known as Simon Shrinking Legs, and this is the final game to feature Spyro as we've known him up until this point. The end of the classic Spyro continuity. So even though the last portable exclusive was the Cortex conspiracy, where I'm certain that the only conspiracy there was to piss off me, maybe they'll actually go all out with this and end on a high note. Okay, not a bad title screen here. When you look at it like this, at least, but in real life, it looks more like Spyro has a really long, weird neck. Vacation can't last forever, you know, even for you. Bitch, I haven't even had one. I've been trying to go on holiday for 7 games now. Oh no. Is this how fast we're going to move? For the whole game? What is this? What is this jump? It's not a jump, it's like you're being vacuumed up to the roof. I can't figure out where the hell I'm landing and I can't get any distance with this. Oh, and what's this? I can't glide? What is this game? Oh, hello there, old. You want me to follow you? No problem. Watch out, we've got combat now.
Did you know this game was made by Amaze Entertainment? Well, now I can see why. It's terrible. But I'm gonna calm down and fall asleep for a second. Maybe I'll have a clearer head in the morning.
Okay. What is this massive screw-off? What is that thing? What is that? What is it? Ah, get away from me, you eyeball-leggy Johnny! When did this game decide to become Siren Blood Curse? Why didn't you warn me? Oh, wait a second, you did. Shadow Legacy is an action RPG, which is not a thing I was expecting to say today. You explore the world, fight enemies to gain XP, use magic spells, level up, and use the touchscreen to cast spells, which feels completely tacked on and unnecessary, just like a real DS game. And very similar to how this game moves the main storyline onto the DS for no discernible reason, without a shadow of a legacy. This is the slowest and most boring action RPG I've ever played, and I mean that as literally as I can muster. Enter the Dragonfly was slow, but it was at least trying to be faster. Just imagine for a second what this game would look like if it lagged. Playing this game feels like you're stuck with a sleep paralysis demon. You'll be sludging along with it, minding your own business, and then every so often you'll wake up and realize how slow you're actually going. Look, I'm just gonna be real for a second. I couldn't stand playing this. I gave it a few hours of my time, but it's just so boring and so uneventful that even if I finished it, I don't think I'd have anything else to add to what I'm saying. So I gave up on it. Here's a condensed version of my playthrough. Wow, I'm charging, and it's still taking a while. Wait, why aren't the rocks breaking immediately when I charge into them? Do you want me to stop moving? You think I'm going too fast? Why aren't my attacks connecting? Yes, this looks completely fine to me. Hang on, what's stopping me from going around this? What's stopping me? You want me to go all the way around to the other side? Speed up! Still 3 people to save. What do you mean, people? They're dragons! I'm saving dragons! Am I playing Spyro the person? You know what? I honestly don't care if the mechanics get better or the story gets better. I am not spending my precious minutes on this earth playing something as slow and as abysmal as this. Don't play this game. You could say I'm being unfair, but nope. Next up is Bandicoot Tower, a game where you tap on the screen to put one box on the screen to build a box tower and hope to God that the next box appears above your current box because there's no pattern or rhythm to where the next box is going to appear. And by the way, nothing seems to happen if you keep building all over the place. Next up, we have Coco Crash Adventure Rescue. Jumping mission. Let's boot it up then. Oh, shit off. Do half of these games not even load? I don't get it. Why would you spend any time making a game only to put it on an app store and not even have it start? Look, it just doesn't go. I'm trying. Go, jumping mission. Go. I want to jump. To give them credit, though, they so nearly got the title correct. They were so close. It's like if the new Duke Nukem game was called Duke Unkempt. Crash the Fox Bandy. Your favorite hog wild, Crash the Fox Bandy, is back. Oh, I can't wait. Actually, before we get into the game, I have to ask, how many of these bootleg dumps are there on Android? There's none on iPhone, none on Nintendo, none on Sega. They're all on here. I'm more shocked than that Ethiopian kid that went to a water park. Do you know what Crash the Fox Bandy is? Oh, sorry, I mean Crash the V2 Bandy. I guess that's his engine size. Well, it's Subway Surfers. Yeah, that's all it is. It's an endless runner game for your phone, like Temple Run or even Crash Bandicoot on the Run if you want to be a dick. Except in this game, you're controlling a blinding yellow fox in a baby onesie melting through the floor, and when the fox bandy gets caught, the racially questionable tribal men chasing you start making cowboy noises. Because why pick a side in the American-Indian Wars when you can have both? And then all of a sudden there's a lovely ad that says, how not to kill a plant.
Yeah. The Zizzle.
What? You don't remember the Zizzle? It's a classic. No, it's not an overweight calculator, it's a video game system. And my god, is it a video game system? First off, it's called a Zizzle. That's not a game console. That's what a sausage does in a frying pan. Secondly, who designed this plastic shell? Buzz looks like a burn victim and Woody looks like he just survived Chernobyl. And this would be bad enough. But then you turn them around and look at them from the side, and these ugly skin grafts attached to this bulky chunk of plastic is not where the horror ends, because you turn the thing on and
Select mission.
It speaks.
and oh boy, does it speak.
Mission.
On this so-called Zizzle, you get a total of 5 missions to play, while holding the system with your left finger poking into Buzz's armpit. And as for Woody, we don't talk about Woody. And this is what the missions are. Mission 1, you move left and right to catch aliens. Mission 2, you press one button to do a jump every so often. Mission 3, you hold left and right while hitting 2 buttons to do high and low attacks against other toys flying towards you. Easily the most challenging and mechanically complex game on the Zizzle. Mission 4, you move left and right to cross a busy road while avoiding cars. And Mission 5, in the saddest thing I've ever seen, all you do is scroll through 4 things you can make Buzz do and press a button to make him do them. You can put his helmet on and take it off, fire his laser, open up his wings, and make him talk.
I am Buzz Lightyear.
This mission clearly only exists for those poor saps of kids that weren't lucky enough to get an actual Buzz Lightyear toy back in the day. This was their substitute.
So first off, we had Simon, silly old ink, and now we have Simon 2. Silly old fish. Gotta say, right now, I love this box art. It's incredible. Gone are the days of creative collages of characters and colourful new worlds. No, we're just gonna have face. And before I get into the nitty gritty, I can definitely say out the gate that not only is Spyro 2 GBA so much better than the first one, but it's also actually probably one of my favourite GBA games of all time. No, I'm not pulling you. This is an unironically great game. The idea is the same as the first, and from the initial glance, it looks exactly the same, but trust me, it's far from it. I mean, look, it has slopes. First off, the controls are way better. You've got more mid-air control while jumping, you move slightly slower while running and charging, but that just makes it way easier to charge everywhere without running off the stage. The camera moves automatically towards the direction you move, giving you more chance to see what's coming. They brought the changing elemental breaths back from Enter the Dragonfly for different styles of attack and puzzle solving. And yeah, there's puzzles now. It's not just a run around and pick everything up spiel. You have side missions with different things to do, more secrets to explore. There's no more repetitive speedway shooting sections, and instead these Sheila and Agent 9 levels that offer totally different and fun gameplay styles, like side-scrolling run and gun missions, which I really get a kick out of, or isometric slower-paced puzzle platforming. And Sheila's dialogue face looks like There's power-up gates now for extra powerful breath attacks for further puzzles, or even new ways of exploring the better designed levels. And if you get lost, oh my god, there's a map! Which shows you where you are, blacks out the areas you haven't explored yet, and even shows you where level doorways are on the hub world. Sliding backwards when getting hit has been totally removed, which is great enough on its own, but even if you do die, it doesn't matter because all of your collection progress during the level is saved, except for the treasure chest key. Why? And you don't go back to the beginning of the level because there are checkpoints throughout now. And the music, oh, the music is so... Along with doing new and different things in each stage, whenever you do complete a mission, you also don't get randomly picked up and spat out on a bit of dirt 3 miles away from where you just were. And you even collect fireflies in this game, which is class. It's way better than collecting lame-ass fairies. I don't want to collect them. What do I look like, a wuss? They always get in your hair and... oh... There aren't only more bosses to fight, but there are also Crush, Gulp, and Ripto from Spyro 2. Not my favourites, but still more familiar and better executed than whatever this thing is that can service 2 at once.
You know what else I noticed? Sparks keeps wanting to say ass and the game never lets him. He's always just about to say it, but then the game chickens out like it's E for everyone or something.
Literally everything wrong with Season of Ice is fixed here, and I couldn't be happier about that. Even the little things like each playable character flying back to the hub world is great. It's a flying ape. And character dialogue having these noises is great. It sounds like when I'm trying to fit on a tight boot. I also love to stand on moving platforms and hold the look button down. Bye-bye, Simon. The only part I really don't like is this one mission here when you got to use electric breath to protect a mouse loading a rocket ship, mainly because for some baffling reason, the lightning breath just doesn't work, only in this part of the game too. But who cares? I can't be angry at the first video game ever to have a level made out of runny green cheese. You don't have to 100% the whole game to finish it either. And if you do choose to 100% it, you unlock a bonus game from the main menu called Sparks Panic. Now it's basically the exact same Sparks shooting you already know by this point, but it's wave-based now. And then you can even play Dragon Giraffes! And you know the small price to pay for such a great game? Every so often, you get a tiny tad of slowdown. But honestly, that really doesn't bother me. I like to look at Spyro 2 GBA like a little old man. Yeah, he may slow down occasionally, but he's got more wisdom to make up for it. And he hates foreigners. Well, crush Bandy Fox Adventure. You know what? You should never judge a book by its cover unless it's this one. Let's give it a look. Well, the game doesn't load. I tried multiple times to get it working, but it just kept crashing right as it opened up. All I get is half a second of a quaint little cabin and an orange hairy truck, then it stops immediately. I can't play this one, and that makes me sick.
Why don't we start off with the first ever Pixar game that was ever released, which is nowadays infamous for the weird as hell graphics, the uncanny environments, and really weird blocky gameplay. Yeah, I'm going there. There's Toy Story on the Game Boy.
Yes, remember this one? Toy Story 1? On the Game Boy? We can point and laugh at the SNES version all we want and mock the lack of
Silicon graphics computers.
but I thought it would be way funnier to play the most primitive video game from Pixar at the time that it was released. And you know what? I should have just stayed on the menu, because as soon as the game starts, it gets worse. How do you put this diabolical waste onto a Game Boy? This! Oh my god, this is so rancid that there isn't even a word for it. The controls are really bloody loose as well, but hey, what are we even doing here? Because I don't know. As it turns out, the goal of level 1 is to find a bucket hidden in the stage, open it, and then watch it start shitting. After that, you head off to look for a radio and knock it down to the floor. Oh. Hey. You okay there, Ham? This is one of the most mangled things I've ever seen. Why didn't they just do their own art style instead of taking the entire SNES game's graphics and trying to squeeze it all into a creamy brick? Just look at this aggressive amount of green. It's hurting my eyes. Do we need to call child services? Does Andy live in mold? These controls, I can't even begin to explain them. They're just completely... Ah! What? That's it? The level's over? Woody, are you okay? Do I need to call an ambulance? Anyway, sorry, the controls. Yeah, I mean, I know you can't feel the controls watching this video, but I'm sure you can get the correct idea by just looking at this footage. This isn't Toy Story, it's Alien. Not just because of the green and black everywhere, but because we float around so much we must be in space.
And no one can hear you scream.
Just you try and do anything in this game. Just you try. And can I just ask, what is it with this game and excrement? Rex, you look like a gnarled up turd, and I'm really not a fan of your running animation. In fact, all of the animations in this game are buggered. What's going on here? Why is Buzz swimming in midair, and why is he splayed and waiting suggestively for me on the bed? Is it because I'm Woody? These levels go on forever, man. Look at this. How ridiculous is this? How big is Andy's room? Does he live in one giant corridor? What kind of kid is Andy anyway? Why does he have 1 million copies of the board game Drafts, and why is he obsessed with this single book called The Fishman? This is Hammy Goes Nuts, an exclusive for the Nintendo DS. Featuring Hammy. Just when you thought it was safe to go back to the burbs, he saw you. And if that wasn't enough to turn you away, then maybe the most horrifying intro cutscene I've ever seen will. What's with this hairy meatloaf slowly and creepily nibbling away at this tree? I feel like I'm about to be jump scared. There are 3 save games already on this cartridge, and not a single one bothered to play the game past 0%, so now I'm very excited. Oh, and the music on these menus has really kicked up a gear. I'm starting to get hyped now. Do you want to know how Hammy did indeed go nuts? Well, I'll tell you. By controlling everyone else other than Hammy and doing exactly the same stuff as the Xbox version of the game, but without any fighting, running 3 times slower, this game is just insipid. There's nothing to it. You drag yourself agonizingly slowly around the area like you're pulling a lawnmower backwards. You tap on an item to pick it up, wait for the game to show you exactly where you need to put the item, and that's it. This is a puzzle game where the puzzle is already solved. And if the game doesn't show you where to go, it's okay, because that means the item belongs less than a foot away from where it was supposed to be already. Hammy Goes Nuts for the DS is just like my pencil.
There's no point.
Why is it even called Hammy Goes Nuts? It's got nothing to do with Hammy on his own or his nuts. Did they just use Hammy's name and face to sell copies? Was he the most marketable character? Do kids really like this face? Or the inside flesh of a squirrel's cheeks? I mean, fair enough, you control him to start with, but the story and objectives have nothing to do with him. The other characters control exactly the same way he does, and by the way, the game is about us working together to steal food because we don't have any, and yet none of the animals will bother to lift a finger until I give them snacks. We don't have any snacks, that's why we're here, you cretin! So first of all, why is this a Lego game? Like, what does Lego have to do with playing songs correctly? All of the other Rock Band games have customization already, so the whole building blocks angle makes no sense. And again, there's no peripherals, which is the entire point of Rock Band as a game. I mean, even Guitar Hero on the DS had a peripheral. Why does this exist? And for the love of all that is holy, what is with this logo on the home screen? What is that supposed to be? A hairy mango? Well, if you know me, at this point, I don't bother questioning things I don't understand, but at the very least, this intro cutscene is kind of exciting. Don't get me wrong, it's as pixelated as my chest, but it's still relatively action-packed. Here we go, how to play notes. Jesus! How to play notes? More like how to run away as fast as possible. What's up with this dude? And why does his mouth look like a post box? What do you think he's hiding in there? Oh, okay, I get it. So we don't hold any buttons and strum with the touchscreen or anything. We just press the DS face buttons at the correct time. This is basically like playing DDR with a controller, except you have Slot Face here pointing at his junk. And when you're doing well in a song, your band members become very happy. And if that's what I look like when I'm doing well, I'd hate to see me if I fail. Time for me to name my band, and whenever I play any of these kinds of rhythm games that have a band in them, I only have one name that I always use. Pant Seat. So much like other Rock Band games, you're able to customize yourself at the start if you want, but you don't have much money to do anything at all, so I just made it easy for myself and decided to make everybody bold. If you've played a Rock Band game before, or hell, any button-based rhythm game before, you should get along with this one no problem. And as far as taking this kind of formula portably goes, Lego Rock Band could do a lot worse, but I'm not taking this anywhere with me. I'm sitting on a chair in my underwear and I just want to play real Rock Band instead. Plus, in order to make this version of the console classic stand out, I guess, they added this new mechanic in called swapping, where during the song you actually need to constantly switch between guitars, bass, drums and vocals to keep their individual scores high enough to get a big enough score in total to win the song. But you can only do this at a specific time. If you get enough points on one instrument, a purple note appears. Hit this and the next few notes for all of your instruments become invisible and automatically hit themselves for about 2 seconds, giving you enough time to switch to a new instrument and begin the process again without messing up your streak. It sounds interesting, but what usually ends up happening is that you switch to the next available instrument that just so happens to be doing nothing, meaning you're getting no extra points, and then if you decide to switch to another instrument at that point, you'll switch mid-note for another instrument and will definitely lose your combo score. Basically, it's stupid, and your Lego heads love to wet themselves. And speaking of that, there are a piddling number of songs to play within this game as well, but I suppose any music game that has kung fu fighting in it is at least trying. And then all of a sudden, Blur appear. No, I mean actual Blur, the band Blur in Lego form. It's Lego Blur, which I honestly thought would look a bit more like this. And you know what the best part is? After I completely nailed song 2, the entire band looked totally miserable and just as excited to be playing Lego Rock Band as I am. Well, except for him. Fist of Jesus, a game that used to be on Steam and mobile phones back in 2015, before suddenly being removed forever, meaning you can't actually buy it anymore unless you already owned it before it was taken down. Or you pirate it. What's really sad though is that even after all the effort I went through to download the game and emulate it, I really don't have much to say about it. Maybe it's because I pirated the Android version, it's the only one that I could find and get working, but this is one of the most basic beat-em-ups I've ever played. Buy something and get rid of the ads. Huh. Buy it. It's not particularly good or bad or even actually that funny. The story we have here is that there isn't one. But that doesn't matter. I'm smart. I know mathematics. Okay, well, Lazarus has come back from the dead and is turning everyone into zombies, and Jesus wants us to send him back to hell, otherwise he'll get told off. But other than that, the game is a beat-em-up. You beat 'em and you up 'em. It's incredibly straightforward shit. Each level is a little arena, you can pick up weapons, you have a few unlockable special moves, and you can either survive as long as you can, or kill a certain number of zombies, chickens, or dirty, stinking lepers. I remember that bit in the Bible when Jesus said to the sick, "Do the world a favor and let me finish you off." You don't even control Jesus for most of it, which is even more disappointing. Instead, you play as Judas. You know, the guy from the Beatles song, written by Paul McCartney and Jonathan Lanoon. I mean, if you like the idea of killing sheep with the stars of Bethlehem, or pulling the hearts out of non-believers, because that will make them join your religion, then by all means, illegally download the game and see for yourself, but it's just a bit too wishy-washy for me. There's not much going on here. And this Lazarus boss fight? Impossible. I swear to Jesus Christ, otherwise known as God Jr., that it isn't possible. Whenever you try to get behind him to attack during this phase of the fight where he's invincible from the front, he always gets multiple hits in or speeds off towards you before you can even get away safely. And you will die. I'm gonna take a look at one more Android game that I was able to download and get working. And it's called Super Crashing Bird. Time is nearly up and my pants are nearly down, so let's get this over with. That's it. Everyone, we've ascended. Life could cease tomorrow and we'd all be happy. The crossover to defeat Avengers Endgame finally happened. Crash Bandicoot and Angry Birds. From what I was able to stomach, this is basically the first Crash Bandicoot game remade entirely with this thing, some of the floatiest, gassiest controls I've ever seen, and boxes with the troll face on. At the very least, I was hoping for this bird to look slightly tasty because it's making me hungry, but that's not a bird, it's a hairy hemorrhoid. This isn't a bird I'd like to cook. What? You don't like eating birds? What are you? A vegetarian? I mean, look at it.
Look at it! You want me to explain why this is bad? You want me to sit here and explain in depth in a 3-hour critical analysis about Super Crashing Bird? You have eyes, right? And if you don't have eyes, well, I'm not even sorry, because if you're playing this, you don't want them. Let this be a warning to every parent all over the world. If your kid asks for a Crash Bandicoot game and you're so cheap that you just download this on their phone for free, don't give that phone back to them, because they will grab you and they will kill you. Well, thank God, it's only taken 7 games and Spyro is finally going on an adventure. This is Spyro Adventure, also known as Attack of the Rhinox in the US, or as I like to call it, Simon. Awesome, I have Rubella. Ooh, what's this? A mini game from the start? Bird rescue? Ooh, let's see what this is about.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
This is the 3rd game in the GBA series made by Digital Eclipse, and this one in particular eclipses the rest. And that's because this game tries something a little bit different. It's the standard GBA Simon fare, but now open world, and I really like this idea. In fact, no, I don't like it. I love it. There's individual large quests scattered around every level in the giant single hub world, and lots of backtracking when acquiring new power-ups to explore previously inaccessible areas to find more quest items that are needed in earlier stages. And this is all a great direction for the portable series, except... Okay, so with the game being open now, the individual side levels are much smaller than the other games to compensate navigation. But even with a map, that doesn't mean much when trying to find characters for quest items is a total pain when all the NPCs look the damn same, and I don't remember who these people are or where the hell to find them. Is this guy over here Steve? How about you? Are you Steve? And this guy, are you Steve or are you Air Force Joe? This game takes the worst of ice and the best of flame and mixes them together to create... a load of wet. You'll find all of these multicolored chests all over the game that require keys that you need to find 2 halves of each scattered around the rest of the game. Once you assemble the key, you can then go back and unlock all of these chests of the same color across every level in the game. And there's no indication what levels they're in or whereabouts they are. Some are in side rooms, some are hidden on high platforms, and some are just laying around like dead cats. And I would just go ahead and not worry about them if they were all full of optional gems for the sake of 100% completion. But I can't ignore them because some chests have gems and some have extremely valuable items to further progress the game. Meaning that whether you like it or not, you have to go back through the whole game every single time you assemble a new key and find all of the chests in every level just in case you missed one with a quest item in it. And if the chest is hiding in one of the side rooms, you'd better pray it's not one of the ones that need 2 buttons being pressed at totally opposite points of the level under a time limit every single time you need to get into that side room. No, it doesn't stay open. You have to do this every single time. And then the chances are you get in there and you haven't got the right colored key yet. But unless you write it down, how are you gonna know? I'm a kid playing this on a Game Boy Advance in the back of my car trying not to throw up. I'm not gonna do any note taking. I'm not a policeman. It's pretty cool that Agent 9 came back, you know, good for him, but he ended up trading his laser pistol for a Dyson, which is because instead of the fun and tricky run and gun segments from Season of Flame, these are slow and awkward stealth segments where if you get spotted one single time, you have to start over at the previous checkpoint. This whole system just slows everything down, and if you want to talk about slow, take a look at Sergeant Bird making his first playable debut on the G-Bap. Well, what in the shit is this? I didn't realize Spyro's new animal friend was polio. These sections suck. I'm sorry. All you do is hit the A button over and over again to ascend, shoot machines trying to attack you, and save soldiers that are dotted all over the place. You can either save one at a time and keep going back and forth, which takes absolutely forever, or collect multiple ones all at once at the cost of being slower, heavier, and meaning you have to ram the fly button even faster, like you're angrily showing your crewmates where the hidden gold is. It sounds the same, looks the same, and mostly feels the same, but Spyro Adventure for me is just way too lofty and open-ended for its own good without giving you the necessary tools to make it feel as fun to play as Season of Flame. Well, actually, I say that it sounds the same, but I take that back because the music this time is... On top of that, you fall through the floor more times than I think should legally be allowed. Agent 9's grappling hook does not work properly. Moneybags is now pink, and most of the missions are now just, well, Spyro, look out! A thief has stolen one of the dragon babies, and you've gotta stop him! Yeah, alright. One of the things we need to save the world is in this safe that you can't get in. I'm in. Also, I think Moneybags now has a kid, which means I can't look at him anymore without knowing that someone rode him.
This here is The Incredibles on the Xbox and Game Boy Advance, two more games from my childhood, both of which were published by Thick, and games which I poured hours into. I was obsessed with them. In fact, I was also obsessed with the movie. I was 10 years old when it came out, and as a huge fan of Spider-Man, I hadn't seen a relatable superhero story told like this before. It captivated me. Do you remember Buddy? Yeah, that was me, but with a movie. And not a man shaped like a pizza slice. And when it comes to Incredibles games, let's start with the GBA version. I never actually owned this one until recently, because back in the day I borrowed it from my cousin multiple times and finished it over and over again while my sister had this Monsters Inc. game on GBA that I barely ever played. Was that any good? Please let me know in the comments, and I won't read them. The Incredibles on GBA is a 3D beat-em-up with 2D graphics that are pretty damn stylish, all things considered. But if you want to consider all things, you'll quickly notice how shallow, empty, repetitive, and bland this game is at its rotten little apple core. You have special moves, you can dash, you can jump attack, you have combos, but none of this means anything when your approach to every single situation is the same over and over again, which is then topped off by the enemies being copied and pasted exactly the same over and over again. By the way, these guns, yeah, they're not fun to deal with. They can get stuck. Hang on, what is this old woman doing hanging out on the roof of a skyscraper? Oh, what's that? This guy's gonna jump to his death? Well, if this face was coming at me, I'd want to jump too. Incredibles on the GBA is a distraction at best and boring at worst. You can't even save your progress and can only use passwords. Yes, in 2004, this is pretty pathetic. Wait. How did they get away with that as a password?